Winemaker in residence. Greetings and welcome to Taste Washington, week 2. This week, of course, Taste Washington is virtual this year, which means we're all gathering at home doing tastings instead of gathering in a giant crowd at the Questfield Event Center. Um, but just because we are staying home and staying safe does not mean that we have to stay sober. So, uh, luckily, and in fact, even less so than if we were there in person. Um, what is that crazy getup you're wearing, Matt? I hear people asking. Oh, this? Oh, no, what's this around my neck? Oh, nothing. Just some stuff that I picked up at mountain bike races this year. No big deal. Nothing going on there. Voila. So the theme for week 2 of Taste Washington, virtual Taste Washington 2021 is Chardonnay and Catch of the Day. Um, the genius folks over at Washington State Wine came up with that, and we don't make Chardonnay, never have, never will. But we came up with the next best thing. In fact, the next better thing, which is Roussanne. Roussanne is like Chardonnay's much more interesting cousin who you'd wish you'd met a long time ago. Hails from the Rhone Valley of France, and it's a full-bodied white wine. Lots of really interesting flavors, kind of more complexity than Chardonnay, just a different fruit profile. And similarly, you can make it in a range of styles, uh, from the style that we make, which is uh, quite fruity, full-bodied, just a hint of oak in there. Um, it's and just really, really lovely. In fact, don't take my word for it. Uh, this Roussanne. Oh wait, that's the empty one. This Roussanne is the Seattle Wine Awards Best in Class Roussanne. You could call that the best Roussanne in Washington State if you want. Also double gold at the Wine Press Northwest Platinum tasting. So great stuff. Get yours while it lasts. We've got some great stuff going on with the Roussanne this week. You can check out our socials for a really amazing lobster mac and cheese recipe, or you can come into our tasting rooms. Mention Taste Washington, get 2-for-1 tasting, and 11% off of this best in class Roussanne. What a deal! Geez, really? Are we doing that? Okay. And coming up this Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m., Day Bob Oyster Company is going to be doing a pop-up oyster bar at our winery location on Day Road. So be sure to come out, pick up your 2-for-1 tastings, your 11% off Roussanne. Of course, if you're in the wine club, you get 20% off. So I don't know why you wouldn't join the wine club. But if you don't feel like joining the wine club, if you don't like commitment, just take your 11% off. And get your glass, get your bottles, get your oysters, and I mean, what else is there to say, really? It's amazing. So let's talk about Roussanne a little bit. Roussanne, so like I said, full-bodied, fruity. I've been tasting it with a bunch of different stuff just now, as you can tell. Just checking out some different options. I got a bunch of different cheeses, kind of from sharper, like super sharp, like extra aged cheddar to like a little bit more mild. Definitely better with a little bit more mild stuff. I had like a Sartori aged cheddar, like super aged, just like kind of bridges the gap between cheddar and Parmesan a little bit. Not great. And with the aged cheddars, with the Beecher's flagship, pretty good. Um, but as we got into the more mild cheddars and like the some of the other Beecher's cheeses that we feature at the winery, like the No Woman, which has the jerk spice, and the Marco Polo, which has the peppercorns, really good with that stuff. Um, so check those out. It's got a little bit of fruity sweetness to it, so you want to look for something like that in the food. I tried it with some some deli turkey, just like plain deli turkey, which is kind of salty and very, very, very mild flavored. Not good. Uh, it's kind of fun to taste, taste some pairings that are and maybe a little bit of sweetness to it, which is why we recommend Roussanne with uh, like cream sauces, which have a little bit of sweetness from the dairy in there, um, and a richness from the butter fat, and also like buttery meats like lobster, foie gras, that kind of thing. Super yum. Um, so the lobster mac and cheese, awesome. We get these amazing recipes. And but I don't get to try them that often, unfortunately. Like it's over at the photo studio getting photographed. It looks amazing. I'm always told it tastes amazing. I don't get to try it. It's sad. But the number one thing that I tried it with today, which was amazing, was caramelized onion mousse from my buddy JJ over at Wanderlust Northwest Catering. Best of Bainbridge. Check that out. Um, he made this really amazing caramelized onion mousse to go with the dinner that he did, and I had a little bit of left over. That stuff was on point. Sweetness from the caramelized onions, creamy buttery from the mousse, super great with the Roussanne. Um, Unfortunately, not widely available, but I'm sure you can find a recipe for caramelized onion mousse on the internet. Whip some of that stuff up. Impress your friends. I'm not kidding. Uh, so, um, Roussanne. Roussanne, so the French word for red is rouge. So Roussanne is like reddish. So it's a green skin grape, not a purple skin grape. Green skin grape, but when it gets a little bit of sun exposure, it starts to turn a little bit reddish, which is where the name comes from, and it's just gorgeous. The home screen on my phone, the lock screen on my phone, is a picture of a bin full of Roussanne grapes, and it's just kind of magical. The cornucopia of colors from green, red, pinkish, like oh, to die for. Um, where the heck did we get into Roussanne? Well, up at Elephant Mountain Vineyards, they have a test block where they planted a bunch of different vineyards, different varieties side by side, um, and they had a few rows of Roussanne, and I'm a big fan of the Rhone varieties. Sorry, um, and Syrah, Morvet, of course, our specialty, Viognier, and Roussanne and Marsanne. And so they had some rows of Roussanne, a little bit of Marsanne. So for a bunch of years, we got all the Roussanne out of the test block, and this one row of Marsanne. Um, in the Southern Rhone, they make a blend of Roussanne and Marsanne that's primarily Marsanne. So Mars and But for us, interestingly, the Marsanne had really nice texture, but not so much with the flavor. On the Roussanne is fantastic flavor, um, and so we co-fermented those for a long time. And then as we grew and grew, eventually we got to the point where the amount that we got out of the test block plus this other row of Marsanne was not enough to even fill our wine club. Um, so starting with this vintage, actually, and so I mentioned to the grower that I really loved the Roussanne, and they should plant more Roussanne, and they did. How about that? So they planted a bunch of Roussanne down at their other vineyard at Sugarloaf Mountain, um, and and that came into production just a couple of years ago. And then last year, we outgrew our Roussanne needs from that test block. And interestingly, the harvest dates were different from the Elephant Mountain block to the Sugarloaf block, and so we couldn't keep it all. We didn't want to. It was not going to work to split it up to get it from both places because it was not going to come in at the same time. It was going to be a problem. So we just switched. This is what winemaking is all about: learning, jumping in, taking chances. That's not what winemaking is all about. But a big part of making progress and making better wine every year is taking chances. Um, and so we got the 2019 vintage. The first vintage of 2019 was from the new block at Sugarloaf, and whew, it was sketchy. So 2019, we had a lot of rain at harvest. Beginning of September, I mean, actually in August, rain showers on and off, rain, 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 rain. Rain is not good for wine grapes at harvest time. Um, you get grapes with ripe skins, they start to soften, clusters get full, rain on there, grapes break open, sugar in the environment, sugar in the wild, not good. Mold, ick. Um, some varieties does fine, and we tend to harvest on the earlier side, so we often get our grapes in before problems occur. In this case, Roussanne, I mean, there was a little bit of issues. Um, the crew over there at Hattrop Farms does a fantastic job. They went through, removed everything that was questionable, and and picked out the rest for us, and obviously worked out fantastic, best in class. Um, but let me tell you, those grapes did not look perfect when we got them. So the 2020 vintage, on the other hand, spectacular, and that vintage we're going to bottle it next week. As a matter of fact, it won't be released for a while, but wow, this vintage is amazing. That vintage is off the hook. So that'll be great. What else do I have to say about Roussanne? So this is 100% Roussanne, this new one. No Marsanne in this. I wasn't sure how I would like that. I've been making co-fermented with Marsanne for a bunch of years, but turned out great. Love it. Uh, um, I think that about covers it for Roussanne today, folks. Thanks for joining me. And of course, as always, if you drink your glass of Roussanne, it doesn't actually matter whether your remaining glass is half full or half empty. There's room for more wine. We'll see you next week.